Yo, what is up, guys? Today I'm be doing a review on my 2021 MT-07. So I've owned this bike for right around 6 months. This is my first bike. I'd say I'm an intermediate rider because I did start out riding dirt bikes as a kid, but this is the first bike I've had on road, and I'm not really sure if y'all can even hear me with that M4 exhaust on it. So I do have a full M4 exhaust on this bike. It is insanely loud, a little too loud, but anyways, so this is my first bike, so I wouldn't say my review is going to be biased in any way, but I don't have anything to compare this bike to, as in this is the only bike I've ever had. So I want to start off with the riding position of this bike, because coming from dirt bikes, the riding position is really easy to transition into. There are a little bit of differences with it, the seat height, where the foot pegs are, but other than that, you're sitting in an upright position on this bike. You know, there's not much weight on your wrist. It's not like a sport bike in the sense of you're leaning forward the whole time and you have a lot of weight leaning on your wrist. So the riding position, I really enjoy it, and coming from a dirt bike, I didn't think it was that much of a jump. It feels pretty natural to ride in this position. Now, I do have friends who have sport bikes. They've gotten used to their sport bikes, so then they hop on this. They don't feel as comfortable going around curves and stuff, because I mean, understand that, because if you're used to the one, then the other one might not be as comfortable. I don't feel comfortable on sport bikes really. But there's 2 more riders and another one. What's up? Alrighty. Usually I wave, but that was a weird angle to be able to wave at. But like I was saying, I don't really feel comfortable on sport bikes. I haven't really rode one. I mean, I've rode one up and down my driveway. I rode my friend's. He has a CBR 650R, so it's not as aggressive as a 600RR, which one of my other buddies had, but it's still way more aggressive of a riding style than, for say, this bike, where you're sitting upright the whole time. You know, you're not leaning forward. I feel like I'm gonna face plant when I'm riding sport bikes, but with this bike, I feel it feels natural. It's enjoyable. So another thing with this bike that I want to talk about is the styling. So I really enjoy this bike and how it looks, other than that headlight. I feel like you either love it or you hate it. I have a friend and he loves how it looks. He's about the only one who loves how it looks. No one else really enjoys how they look. I thought it looked kind of like a praying mantis on the front end. So what I did, I ended up getting a windscreen. The windscreen is really small. It doesn't really provide much protection against the wind. I got it more just for the aesthetics of the bike, because I thought it made the front end look a little bit better than stock. Another thing I also did for that front end was the mirrors. I did not like the stock mirrors. They work great. I could see everything perfectly out of them. I just did not like the look of them. So I do have bar end mirrors. They are a little bit hard to see out of. I kind of have to go down to look at them, but they look much better than the stock mirrors, so I thought it was worth it. Others may think it's better to see, but I'm not looking behind me that much. I mean, when I'm changing lanes and stuff, I'll do I'll turn my whole head, I'll glance in the mirror, but other than that, I'm not really looking into my mirrors much, so I didn't really see it as that big of an issue, other than taking out my bar and weights, because now the handlebar, it does vibrate a little more than when I had the weights in, because the mirrors don't weigh nearly as much as the weights, but it still did provide a little bit of weight to help with that and reduce vibrations. Let's see. Oh, another thing I do not like about this bike, I wouldn't say I'm gonna do things I hate and love about this bike, but there are a couple things I want to address that I do not like about this bike, and that would be all of the plastic. So the whole gas tank, it's covered in plastic here. The whole bike is plastic. and for the price point of 7,700, I mean, you kind of expect that. I did pay way, I wouldn't say way over 7,700. I came in closer to mid-tens on this bike. I bought it brand new, so I did pay quite a bit in dealer fees. I probably shouldn't have been that high, but it's whatever at this point. So there's a plastic feel all on this bike. The whole bike's plastic. If you really like push on the things, they'll squeak, and I don't know, it kind of feels cheaply made, but at the same time, it's you get what you pay for. So I mean, there's that. I'm not really going to complain about that too much. I mean, it's nice because the plastic does scratch, but not nearly. Oh, gravel. Whoops. I wouldn't say it scratches nearly as bad as paint would. So there's that. Another thing that I did not like about this bike, but this is mainly all bikes, I mean, I understand they have a purpose, was the rear fender. I changed that within the first week of owning this bike because I was not a big fan of how it looked. So I changed that. I have rode in the rain a couple times since then, and I kind of see the whole purpose of the rear fender, or not the whole purpose, but a good portion of the purpose of it was my whole back was soaking wet from the rear tire throwing rain up or water up off the road. My whole back was soaking, my bag was soaked, everything was soaked. So I see its purpose there, but at the same time, I like how it looks better without it, so I decided to take it off. With the rear fender eliminator kit I used though, it did keep stock turn signals, and the thing about that though, I actually like the stock turn signals on this bike. I think they look nice. They are the clear, there's clear LED turn signals. I'll show y'all later, but I like the stock turn signals, so I thought that was a plus. I also changed my levers on this bike. Not that that really adds much, but I liked how it looks better with shorty levers. I don't like the big long levers. I did go with blue. These are the ASV, I think it's F3, I'm not sure. I know it's 3 something. They were about, I think they're right around $100 a lever, so it's like $200 for the whole thing, which isn't that bad. I mean, there were cheap Amazon ones. I heard bad things about like the Amazon ones, so I decided to go with the name brand ones for that, just because your levers are kind of important in a sense that you want it to work when you need it. It's another thing about the bike. I can't think of anything else I changed, but things I enjoy about the bike. It has a lot of torque. Now keep in mind, I'm saying that from not having any other riding experience on a street bike. But this thing does have a lot of torque. I would say from the factory, it did not have as, it didn't feel as torquey as I had thought, because I did read and watch a bunch of videos on the bike before I bought it, because I was between this bike and a CB 650R, so the naked version of the CBR 650R, and I ended up going with this bike because with the twin cylinder, it said like the torque was better for around town and things like that, and I mainly ride around town just like back roads like these. I'm not really on the highway much. I have taken this bike on the highway. It's not that enjoyable on the highway. I mean, it's manageable, but it's not something I enjoy. So I tend to stay away from highways unless I'm riding to somewhere like that I want to ride, but I don't ride on highways for fun. But back to the engine with the torque from factory, it just didn't feel as torquey as like I expected. With all the reviews I read and the videos I watched, I expected like a lot of torque, and sadly it just wasn't as much as I thought. I mean, that's not a bad thing, but I was expecting more. So after my braking period, at about, well, a little bit after my braking period, at about 1,500 miles, I decided to get a full M4 exhaust, and I went with a FT ECU to do tuning, and I used a Power Commander map for the Yoshi R77 exhaust. And doing that, it really gave this bike more life. The throttle, I think, is a bit more responsive. I have read people switching over to R6 throttle tubes, but just with the tune and the exhaust, this bike feels like it has much more torque on the low end. So it's super torquey now. You know, I think that's a good thing for riding around the city, because I mean, the speed limit's usually around like 45, give or take. You're not really going that fast, but getting up to that speed and doing whatever you want to do, it's nice to have the torque down low. Compared to like a 600, you have more like top end power. So like off the line, my buddy, he had a CBR 600 RR. I'll take him off the line up till about I'd say about 70 with that bike, and then he'd start to pull on me. But now he has a R6, and it's the same thing still. I'll take him off the line, but it's closer to around like 60 is when he starts to really pull on me and leave. And this bike tops out, I know online it said, I think it said close to like 130. I'm not saying I've ever gone that fast or gone triple digits, but I don't think it can go 130 unless you're going like straight down the hill. So there's that. But this engine, I love the sound of the bike too, but with this M4 exhaust, it's just a little too loud for me. I think I really do want to get the baffle for it. Just one off eBay, because make it sound a little bit better, more tolerable. I do wear plugs when I ride though. It's still loud with plugs, but I have rode without plugs, and it leaves your ears kind of hurting afterwards. Like, you can't really hear that well. So I really want to get a baffle for it, and it's just kind of obnoxious sometimes. So there's that I want to do for the exhaust. Kind of quiet it down a little bit. Sometimes I wish I went with the R77, but I do love the sound that comes out of the M4. And other things I've read about this bike that people don't like, the suspension. They say it's like I guess soft. I myself, I haven't had, oh okay, that was kind of bouncy, I guess. That was kind of squishy, but having no experience with another bike, I enjoy it. I mean, it could be better, yeah, but it is an enjoyable bike. The brakes were another thing. I myself haven't had any issues with the brakes. They feel fine to me. Then again, coming from no prior experience to other on-road bikes, just this bike, there's that. And then something, well, it's not terrible. The gas, the fuel tank, I can't remember exactly. I think 3.7 gallons. So it's not huge. It's a little bit on the smaller side, I think, compared to like other sport bikes. But I average about, I'd say mid to high 40s. So it gets you, I don't know, I'd say I get about average 140, it's about like 140 miles. I don't know, close to there when I fill up. I've never set my trip. I probably should, just to see what it is, but like right now I'm not on the throttle, averaging 73. I mean, that's expected. You're not hitting the throttle, but it does get decent gas mileage. I mean, with the tune and the exhaust, it gets a little worse than factory, but I kind of knew that getting into it, so I'm not going to complain much on that. Let's see, actually I can look at my average. Oh wait, is that it? Yeah, average 48.5 right now. I don't know how long that is, if that's ever since ownership or just this ride. But oh, I just hit 2,000 miles. So yeah, just hit 2,000 miles on the bike. This review's mainly, the first like 1,000 miles I took it easy on the bike because it's the braking period. So this review's mainly on, well, it's on all 2,000 miles I guess, but only like actually riding the bike for 1,000 miles. But I did get a feel for the bike with the first 1,000, like the brakes and all that. So going around the curves, I mean, this bike feels nice. I don't have any complaints with that. It feels like a bike going around the curve, like a bike, like a dirt bike, I guess. Maybe not. But it feels very natural. Another thing with the headlight though, other than the not liking the looks of it, it actually performs pretty well. I mean, it lights up like the whole road, what you expect for a motorcycle. I wouldn't say it lost any of its functionality with how small they made it. I still think it compares to most other motorcycles of this class, like sport bikes, it lights up the road just as well. So I don't really have complaints about how well it lights up the road, kind of just like how it looks. I'm not a big fan of that front end, so I think with the things I've done, it does look a little bit better. That's my opinion though. You know, everyone has their own opinion. Some people might like it factory. That's okay. If they like that, they can have that. But I like it better with that windscreen and without the mirrors. I think it looks a little bit better. The only issues I've ever had with this bike, I'd say like driving it, would be going from first to second, and I ended up in neutral a lot of the time. I guess that's on me. I don't know if I didn't push it up high enough, but I noticed a lot I would end up in neutral and just vroom, I would just rev it. So I don't know if that's a common thing with these bikes of people doing that, but I did end up doing that quite a bit, especially when I first got the bikes. I mean, it's kind of like some of the things you learn, I guess, or that I learned within that braking period, where all right, well, I'm going into neutral a lot when I'm trying to upshift. But other than that, I love the way this bike handles. It feels great. You know, there's not many complaints other than just like aesthetics. The suspension is like, I guess, the only thing, but I personally don't have a major issue with that. I guess maybe because I haven't been on other bikes that have better suspension, so I don't know. I do like the all black of this bike. I did get the all black one. With but I was gonna do blue accents on the bike. I don't want to go too crazy. That's why I got these blue levers, because like, I mean, Yamaha's blue. I don't know if it's kind of cheesy or whatnot, but I want to do like some blue accents. I wasn't gonna like fully do blue on the bike. Just like accents here and there, give it a little bit of color. But I did like the all black. The seat, oh, that's another thing I want to talk about. The seat is actually pretty comfortable, because let's see, my friends that had the CBR 600RR, that seat was like, there was like no padding on it. I mean, it's like I guess a track bike, sport, whatever you want to call it. It's not meant to be super comfortable. So that seat was just like a super thin piece of fabric. Well, I wouldn't know the fabrics, but it's just like a thin piece of leather with like no padding. It was like, I don't know, maybe a slight bit of padding on it, but it was not much. It was very uncomfortable. I would not want to ride that bike for a long period of time, or any bike for a long period of time, really. back starts to hurt after a couple hours of just sitting up like this. So, but that's any bike, or maybe not any bike, maybe that's just me, but I'm trying to think of other things about this bike that I've noticed within my 6 months of owning it. The throttle, like I was saying, the throttle tube, people go to R6. I mean, it is more responsive with the tune, but like when you're really trying to get on it, like your wrist is all the way cranked down to get it going. So I mean, I don't know how much of a difference the R6 throttle tube makes with having to twist it all, but that's something I might look into, just because I've noticed you do have to crank your wrist like pretty far down when actually getting on it. And I do apologize for the sound. This is the first video I've taken with this mic and this exhaust, so I don't know if the exhaust is overpowering the video or not, because I should have done a test video to see before I even took this one, but I guess we'll find out. I really do like the display on this bike. That's another thing, the gauges, this whole display here, because so on like the older generation, it was like the white background with the black numbers and stuff. I mean, those looked okay. This looks a lot cleaner, in my opinion. I like how this looks a lot better. Let's see. I really didn't plan this video out, if you can't tell. I'm kind of just winging it a little bit. Just going over the things that come to my head about this bike. I didn't want to go too much in depth about anything. You know, I can do a video later of all the things I've done to the bike. You know, like I've already said, like the tune and the exhaust, the levers, the windscreen, all of that. If y'all want to know like any more about that, or you had any questions about that, I could go more in depth about those. But I will post a video, if I didn't do end up getting a baffle, of this exhaust with the baffle and then without the baffle, because I do think it's rather loud. Go left here. Oh, I know this has nothing to do with the bike, but the ram mount, let's see, one of my straps is already broken on it. Not a big deal. I guess it's kind of cheap to replace, but I haven't even owned it that long, so I didn't expect it to break so early. Yeah, so with this ram mount, I didn't expect it to break so early, and also neither of these products are sponsored in any way, but the ram mount, I kind of wish I went with the quad lock mount instead. My friend has one of those. It seems so much nicer. You don't have the little ends of the X grip in the way. You don't have the band, if you do use the band, in the way. It's like it is so much easier to put on. Well, I wouldn't say this one's hard to put on, it just takes a lot longer. With the quad lock, you just put it on and twist it. So I'm looking at getting one of those. They are a little bit more expensive. This mount right here though was about $70, because I did get the large one, because I do have the Pro Max. I have a larger phone, so I did get the larger mount. So it's close to $70 for this mount. And with the quad lock, I think with the case, with the vibration dampener and the mount, it's like 120, so not that much bigger. Like, it's not that big of a difference from the 70, because you get the vibration dampener, which I know a guy who had the ram mount, and his phone camera, it shakes now, because like the stabilization option, or like the stabilization feature that iPhones have, I don't know, it completely wrecked it. So I don't want that to happen to my phone. I'm not sure how common that is. I just know it can happen, and the quad lock seems like it's the better product. So I mean, that would be awesome to get a sponsored product from Quad Bike. I'm not crossing my fingers on that, and no, none of this is sponsored. I'm just letting y'all know what I do have. So ram mount, if you're in the market for a foam mount, I would not get a ram mount. I would go with the Quad Block, but I mean, it's up to you. Let's see, is that a scooter or a bike? I waved to him. What's up, man? I wave to anyone. I don't really care. I wave to a bicycle. I don't know. Some people don't wave back. I don't get mad about it. I guess sometimes they might not see you, whatnot. I don't care. If they wave, they wave. If they don't, they don't. But I wave to everyone. And I know there's a big thing about like Harleys not waving back. A lot of the Harleys around here, they do wave back. Just about everyone waves back here. There's only been like maybe like 2 bikes since I've been riding that haven't waved back. And like maybe, I don't know, maybe they didn't see me or whatnot, but I don't get upset about it if they don't. Luckily, I have not had a single accident with this bike since owning it, and this being my first street bike, I say that's pretty good, but I don't want to jinx myself, so knock on wood, but I haven't really had any close calls either, though I've only put 2,000 miles on the bike. The riding season is just starting around here, so I mean, there's always more time to ride. And that can increase my chances of being in an accident, which I hope does not happen. And I mean, no one hopes to be in an accident, but just so far I haven't laid down the bike or anything like that. It's very comfortable, very easy bike to get to learn. Let's see, I'll hit it. There's a stop sign. I'll give it a little bit pulling off of this stop sign if there's no one in front of me going the same way. But this bike, okay, should be good. Oh, this bike does have plenty of power. Well, alright, well there's someone in front of me. I can't really hit it too much. Let's see, I'll go down a different road. Maybe. No, I'm not gonna go that way. I'm trying to think of which way I could go. Okay, he's turning anyway, so I'll hit it right here. I did kind of let off. I thought that was a cop right there. Oh. Yeah, this bike, if you're in the market for your first bike, or like, I'd say like another bike if you have a sports bike and looking to get something like a naked bike, I think this is a great bike. I love it. Just about everything about this bike. Like I said, I was between the CB650R and the MT-07, and I'm glad I went the MT-07. My friend has a CB650R, not the CBR650R. I have a friend who has both, or one has the CBR650R, one has the CB650R, just the naked version of that. So it has the inline 4. So you do have more top end power, but around like the city and stuff, I wouldn't say the city, around town, I don't know, we don't really live in a big city. Around town, I'd say this bike is better. I'd enjoy it more. On the highway and stuff, I don't know if any naked bike is really that enjoyable, but I don't hate it on the highway. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but just the sound of this bike, it's awesome, but just a little too loud. See, I don't know of anything else really about the bike I could talk about. I'm trying to think of different things about the bike. This thing will pop up like almost on any time you hit it. Like if you hit it, it will pop up. It is pretty hot out today. It's like, oh shoot, I was about to say the balance boy of this bike is great, but I almost just lost. I didn't lose it there, but I was having trouble balancing, keeping it straight up. If you can see there, there is a bit of a glue residue from the sticker that was on the bike when I got it. The warning, blah blah blah, a serious death or injury. I don't know why they put that there, like so hard to remove. It looked terrible, but I mean, I took it off, put goo going on it, but there's still some goo on it. I mean, I might go back at it later. It doesn't really bug me too much, so I just haven't messed with it that much. But I really can't think of, you know, anything else. I can't compare the bikes to other bikes too much because I don't have experience on other bikes. I mean, I have rode my friend's bike, like I said, up and down my driveway, nowhere far. I mean, they've offered, but I just don't feel comfortable on them because I am so used to this bike. You know, I'd have to take it, it'd be like learning all over again because it's such a different riding position. I've really gotten used to this one and don't know. Well, I mean, I know I could get used to the riding position of another bike, but I don't know how that transition would be. Since I am used to this one now, and like I said, the transition, if you are coming from a dirt bike and you want something relatively similar to a dirt bike, I would get this, because this is just about as close to a dirt bike I feel like as you're gonna get, unless you do like a supermoto, which those are cool. I've thought about supermotos, but as my first bike I really wanted more of like a street bike, so that's why I went with the MT. So I went with a naked bike. I knew I wanted a naked bike. I didn't want like a full fairing sport bike. I want something with decent power. This going to my, I don't think that, speaking of that, the power, I don't think the MT-07 has too much power for a beginner rider. Like if you have no experience, I feel like stock, this bike doesn't have too much power. Like you would be fine, I guess. Grom, that's sick. But like I said, as a first rider, no experience. I mean, the MT-07, it might have a little too much power. So you could go with something like the MT-03. I mean, I haven't done much research on this because I was not interested in one. But I know they have less power. I'm sure they're a little bit smaller than this bike, if you're looking to get into naked bikes and don't want to start here. But I feel like a beginner with no experience would be fine learning on this. You know, I don't think it'd be a terrible bike to learn on. I would definitely get like frame sliders, because starting off with no experience, you probably will drop the bike. You know, like starting on a dirt bike, I know I definitely dropped the bike. You know, you're not going to have it right away. But yeah, I don't think it would be a bad bike for a rider with zero experience at all. Okay, like at least know how to ride a bicycle and balance. But like no dirt bike experience, none of that, I don't think this would be a bad bike at all. I'll probably pull over somewhere if I can find a spot do a walk around of the bike and show y'all the things I've done to it. I'm trying to think of where I could pull over at. See, I think I know a spot maybe. The throttle pinned right there, like all the way down. So I don't know what an R6 throttle tube would do with that or whatnot, but let's see. I'm trying to think spot where I could show y'all. I might just wait till I get back home, and after I park it, I guess I'll show y'all exactly what all I've done to it. Let me go left. A little jumpy there. So you can do a footless stop with this bike. I have before. Whoops. But you won't get it every time. Maybe you will, but I don't. Especially if there's cars coming, obviously you're gonna have to put your feet down at some point. This exhaust does, it will have like a little crackles. I don't know if that's because of the tune or if it's just the exhaust, because this tune isn't for this exhaust, it's for the Yamaha R77, like I was saying earlier. So I don't know if it's because the fuel map isn't exactly for this bike. Yes, I'll let them go. Oh, another car. Okay, maybe I should have gone before them so I don't have to wait here, because it is pretty hot. I think it's, let's see, what, 84 out here, and I'm wearing a jacket, jeans, obviously a helmet, and it's pretty hot out here. Okay, I'm gonna go. Oh, I just stalled the bike. Oh, that's embarrassing because there is a car behind me. And neutral again. Alright. Okay, I'm burning hot. That happens. That doesn't happen all the time. They used to happen. I didn't used to stall it a lot. But going into neutral. So, I mean, that's, I don't know. I guess it's kind of embarrassing, but at the same time, it happens to everyone at some point. My back is on fire. Oh man. And I do have a book bag on, so that does not help. So I didn't mean to not prolong the video, but run the video out this far. I don't even know how long I've been recording for now. I know, oh my, it's definitely been a little bit of a little long. I might cut some of it. I'm not sure yet, because I'm not going to post a super long video when it was supposed to be a review, but just touching on like some of the main points of the bike. I mean, if I forgot something, just let me know. You can like just leave a comment down below and I can address it. I can make another follow-up video. I do like a 1 year, or I could just do like things I missed. I mean, it doesn't really matter. But the next thing I plan on doing, not necessarily to the bike, but like just getting for the bike, is This is the quad block foam mount because I do not enjoy this one too much. That being said though, I think I am going to end the video here. Well, actually, hold on, I still need to show y'all the bike. So never mind, I'm not going to end the video here. I'm going to cut the video, and then I'm going to add it into the video when I get home of the bike itself, so y'all can actually see what it looks like with the stuff I've done, things like that. So that being said, I'm gonna cut the video here and I will add in the other recording when I get back home. Alright, so here's the bike. You can see I have the windscreen on it, and then the ASV levers, breakaways. The bike is very dirty. I do need to wash it, but I have the full M4 exhaust. Let's see, the fender eliminator, so it just holds the plate, and then the turn signals. Let's see, and then I also had the bar and mirrors on it, and got rid of the stock mirrors that went in right here, and they'd come out pretty long. And let's see, I think that, yeah, other than the tune, that's all that I've done to the bike so far. Like I said, I do plan on changing from the ram mount over to the quad block, just because, I mean, okay, well since I've rode, okay, so now both of the bottom straps are broken. So yeah, overall not too happy with the ram mount, but other than that, really do like the bike. It's just this front with the windscreen, it still looks, it looks alright. Not the biggest fan of the front here, especially with this whole assembly, but that's the only real complaint I have for the bike, about the looks of it. So yeah, if you have any questions, just leave them down below and I'll be happy to answer them.